2026's camera phone war is brutal. Every flagship claims to replace your DSLR, but which one actually delivers? I tested the Galaxy S26 Ultra's new low-light beast mode, the OPPO Find X9 Ultra's insane 10x periscope zoom, and the Vivo X200 Ultra's 200-megapixel telephoto. Plus, we've got the Pixel 10a, proving you don't need $1,200 for great photos. If you care about photos, video, and real-world performance, stick around. This is the only camera phone comparison you need this year. Let's get into it.
Number 6. Samsung Galaxy S26 Ultra. The Galaxy S26 Ultra is Samsung's safe, polished flagship for 2026. It doesn't reinvent the formula, but it refines the areas that matter most: cameras, display, and AI. The design is familiar: 6.9-inch flat front and back with Armor Aluminum 2 frame, Corning Gorilla Armor 2 glass, and IP68 rating. It's thinner at 7.9 millimeters and lighter at 214 grams than the S25 Ultra. The big addition is the privacy display, a hardware-backed mode that cuts side visibility so only you can see the screen. It works well, though it dims brightness and shifts colors when enabled. The display is a 6.9-inch dynamic LTPO AMOLED 2X, 1440 by 3120, 120 Hz with 2600 nits peak brightness. Samsung skips Dolby Vision in 10-bit color, but the anti-reflective coating and pro-scalar sharpening make it one of the best outdoor screens. Cameras see the main upgrade. The 200-meg primary now has an f1.4 aperture, pulling 47% more light for cleaner night shots and faster shutter speeds. The 50-meg 5x telephoto moves to f2.9 for 37% more light, making zoom shots at night far more usable. The setup is 200-meg primary, 10-meg 3x telephoto, 50-meg 5x periscope, and 50-meg ultra-wide. Video gets 8K 30fps, 4K 120fps, and Samsung's new APV lossless codec for pro editing. Nightography processing is improved with better noise control and motion handling. Inside is the Snapdragon 8 Elite Gen 5 for Galaxy, with 39% faster NPU and 24% faster GPU than the S25 Ultra. Gaming stays smooth, aided by a larger vapor chamber. Battery stays at 5,000 milliamps, but charging jumps to 60 watts wired, 70% in 30 minutes. At $1,300, it's iterative but still the most well-rounded Ultra. You get 7 years of updates, S Pen support, and Galaxy AI features like Now Brief and improved Bixby.
Number 5. OPPO Find X9 Ultra. The OPPO Find X9 Ultra is OPPO's most ambitious camera phone for 2026, and it's built to replace your DSLR. Launched globally in May 2026, it's positioned for creators who want pro-level control without carrying extra gear. The camera system is the headline. You get 4 rear sensors, a 200-megapixel main with a 1.12-inch sensor and f1.5 aperture, a 50-megapixel ultra-wide, a 200-megapixel 3x periscope telephoto, and a 50-megapixel 10x periscope telephoto. That's real 10x optical zoom with OPPO's quintuple prism reflection structure, and sensor crop can push it to 20x without heavy detail loss. Hasselblad tuning handles color science, skin tones, and portrait rendering, so photos look natural, not overprocessed. In tests, it beats the Galaxy S26 Ultra for zoom versatility and matches DSLR-like detail in daylight and low light. Video hits 8K 30 frames, 4K 120 frames, and supports OLOG 2 and LUTs for pro workflows. Performance uses the Snapdragon 8 Elite Gen 5 on 3nm, paired with 12 16GB LPDDR5X RAM and UFS 4.1 storage. It tops CPU benchmarks and handles sustained GPU loads better than most flagships. The 6.82-inch LTPO AMOLED display is 1440 by 3168, 144 Hz with 3600 nits peak brightness and Dolby Vision. Battery is 7,050 mAh silicon carbon, delivering around 20 hours active use. You get 100-watt wired and 50-watt wireless charging. At 235 grams and 8.7 millimeters thick, it's bulky, but the camera-like design with vegan leather and knurled edges feels premium. At around €1,700, it's pricey and lacks official US availability. But for mobile photography, the Find X9 Ultra sets the benchmark in 2026.
Number 4. Vivo X200 Ultra. The Vivo X200 Ultra is a camera-first flagship that pushes mobile photography further than almost any phone in 2026. Launched in April 2025, it's still China-only, but gray imports make it accessible for enthusiasts who want the best stills. The standout is the triple camera system co-engineered with Zeiss. You get a 50-megapixel Sony Lydia LYT818 main sensor with gimbal OIS, a 50-megapixel ultra-wide that's arguably the best in the market, and a 200-megapixel Samsung HP9 periscope telephoto with 3.7 times optical zoom and macro at 3.4 to 1. Add the optional 2.35x teleconverter lens, and you reach 200mm equivalent. All three rear cameras shoot 4K 120, and the main plus ultra-wide can do 8K 30 FPS with Dolby Vision and 10-bit log. The new camera control key doubles as a shutter and zoom dial, giving it a proper camera feel. Performance is handled by the Snapdragon 8 Elite on 3nm with 12 16GB LPDDR5X RAM and UFS 4.1 storage. It posts top-tier GPU scores in 3D Mark and stays near peak CPU performance for over 10 minutes before throttling. For gaming and editing, it's overkill, in a good way. The 6.82 LTPO AMOLED display runs 1440 by 3168 at 120, hits 4500 nits peak brightness, and supports Dolby Vision and HDR Vivid. It's bright, color-accurate, and great for HDR video. Battery is 6,000 mAh with 90-watt wired and 40-watt wireless charging. You also get IP69/IP68 rating, Wi-Fi 7, and an ultrasonic fingerprint sensor. At around €780, it's expensive and software isn't optimized for global use. But if photography is your priority, the X200 Ultra is one of the most complete camera phones you can buy.
Number 3. Google Pixel 10a. The Google Pixel 10a is Google's 2026 budget Pixel, and it's basically a refined Pixel 9a with a few quality-of-life upgrades. If you want the Pixel camera and clean Android experience without spending flagship money, it still delivers, but don't expect big hardware jumps. The design is nearly identical to the 9a, with a flat back and flush camera bar that finally stops the wobble on tables. It uses Gorilla Glass 7i now, instead of Gorilla Glass 3, and the 6.3-inch P OLED display hits 3000 nits peak brightness, 2000 nits HBM, and 120Hz refresh. The panel is brighter and tougher, though it's still 1080p. Under the hood is the same Tensor G4 chip and 8GB LPDDR5X RAM as the Pixel 9a. Benchmarks are basically unchanged, and it can't run Gemini Nano V3 on-device AI that the Pixel 10 gets. For daily use, it's smooth and reliable, but heavy gaming and future-proofing are concerns with only 8GB RAM. Cameras are also unchanged, 48-megapixel main with OIS and 13-megapixel ultra-wide on the back, 13-megapixel front. The magic is still in Google's processing. Point-and-shoot photos look great, with features like Camera Coach and Auto Best Take. Video tops out at 4K 60 FPS. Battery is 5100 mAh with 30-watt wired and 10-watt wireless charging. You get IP68, stereo speakers, optical under-display fingerprint, and 7 years of Android updates. At $499, it's a safe pick for Pixel fans upgrading from older A-series phones. But if you want better performance or telephoto zoom, the OnePlus 13s or Pixel 10 are better value.
Number 2. OnePlus 15. The OnePlus 15 is OnePlus's most ambitious flagship for 2026, shifting from flagship killer to a full premium contender. It launches with Qualcomm's Snapdragon 8 Elite Gen 5 on a 3nm process, paired with 12GB, 16GB LPDDR5X RAM and UFS 4.1 storage. Benchmarks show it handles gaming and multitasking effortlessly, with 20% faster CPU and 23% faster GPU performance than the previous gen. The phone also introduces a dedicated touch chip for 3200Hz sampling, making it one of the most responsive Android phones for gaming. The display is a 6.78-inch flat LTPO AMOLED with 1272 by 2772 resolution, 165Hz adaptive refresh, and 1800 nits peak brightness. It's the first screen above 1080p to hit 165Hz, and it supports Dolby Vision and HDR10+. OnePlus dropped the curved edges for a flat panel, which improves touch accuracy and durability. Battery life is a standout. The 7300 mAh silicon carbon battery delivered 25 plus hours in active use testing. You get 120-watt wired charging, 50% in 15 minutes, and 50-watt wireless. The 360 cryovelocity cooling system with aerogel keeps temps down during long gaming sessions. Cameras see a shift. OnePlus dropped Hasselblad branding and now uses an in-house Detail Max engine. The triple 50-megapixel setup includes a 3.5x telephoto, ultra-wide with autofocus, and a mean sensor with OIS. Photos are detailed, but reviewers are split. Some praise the clarity, others note it's a step down from the OnePlus 13. Video gets 4K 120fps Dolby Vision and real-time LUT preview for creators. At $899 for 12 256GB, it undercuts the S26 Ultra and iPhone 17 Pro Max while offering better battery and charging. If you want raw performance, battery life, and a fast 165Hz display, the OnePlus 15 is hard to beat.
Number 1. Sony Xperia 1 Vi6. The Sony Xperia 1 Vi6 is Sony's most mainstream flagship yet, but it still caters to creators who want pro-level control. Sony dropped the ultra-tall 21:9 4K display for a more practical 6.5-inch 19.59 FHD Plus LTPO OLED panel at 1080 by 2340. It sounds like a downgrade, but the 396 ppi density is still sharp, and you get better brightness, HDR, and battery life thanks to 1 to 120 Hz adaptive refresh. The tuned by Bravia display and creator mode give it a cinematic look straight out of the box. Cameras are where the Xperia One Vive 6 shines for enthusiasts. You get a 48-megapixel main, 12-megapixel ultra-wide, and a variable telephoto that now reaches 7.1x optical zoom. Sony merged Photo Pro and Video Pro into the default camera app, making manual controls less intimidating. The telephoto also doubles as a telemacro lens, and you get real-time tracking, raw shooting, and color tuning tuned by Sony's Cine Alta team. Video quality is solid, but zoom video lags behind Xiaomi and Samsung. Performance uses the Snapdragon 8 Gen 3 with 12 gigs RAM, but Sony undertunes it slightly, so benchmarks trail the Galaxy S24 Ultra. Real-world use is smooth though, and the vapor chamber keeps it cool during gaming. Battery life is excellent, aided by the efficient display. You also get stereo speakers, a 3.5mm jack, microSD slot, and IP65 rating. At around €887, it's pricey, but if you want manual controls, great audio, and a phone that feels like a pocket camera, the Xperia One Vive 6 is still unique.
So there you have it, the best camera phones of 2026 tested where it matters. If you want the ultimate zoom in low light, the OPPO Find X9 Ultra takes the crown. Need all-around balance and AI smarts? Galaxy S26 Ultra is your pick. On a budget, the Pixel 10a still punches above its weight. Drop a comment with your winner and what you'd shoot with it. Don't forget to like and subscribe for the full camera blind test coming next week. See you there.